What's up, guys? It's your boy Sawan Belcher. This is me taking action right here on YouTube. Every single week I'm dropping them gems, dropping that value for you so you guys can learn how to replace your 9-to-5 income with real estate profits.
Here we go.
Okay, don't put no limits on me because we talk about rental properties, wholesaling, fix and flip, Airbnb, and group homes. And after I've done enough new construction, I'm going to start talking about that as well. But as of today, I haven't done enough to actually share what I've learned about new construction. But we're going to get there after I do enough deals. And that's one thing I love about my channel. I'm only teaching the stuff that I know. I'm not telling you what I heard. I'm telling you what I do, baby. Matter of fact, we're actually sitting in my crib right now. This is actually my garage. My wife has her own garage on the other side of the property. I have my garage. You know, check out, these are, that one at the top is a shotgun that my granddad gave me. The one in the middle is my hunting Ruger. And then the one at the bottom is a little BB gun for the kids. You see? That's my little zero turn. I don't cut the grass on the 22 acres here. I actually just use that for the garden and to maintain the garden and to maintain the shooting range that I have. And then I got one of my favorite toys is my quad over here. This is my Polaris 570, and I mean you can't have acreage without having, you know, some wheels. So, and then this is my baby behind me, my 1983 Volkswagen Rabbit project car. I'll get into the story about this car and why it's a project car later. So if you guys want some, you know, some boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife drama stories, let me know. I will tell you. It'll be motivational for sure. But this car has definitely got the memories, and I'm grateful for all of them. Anyway, let's get into the black home ownership stats. We bought this house 2 years will be in May. Okay, it's January. So we bought this house a year and a half ago, and the way we was able to afford a house like this is because of our first personal house. We would have never been able to buy a house like this without our first personal house. The first personal house we bought off market in Greensboro, right outside of the county, right outside of city limits, and we paid $119 for that house. Okay. At the time, one of the neighbors' houses had sold for $180. So we knew we was buying with equity. Okay. But it did need a little, you know, a little work to get there. And we took 7 years in order to get there and ended up selling that house for, I want to say it was I think we ended up selling that house for $295, $285, something like that. But as you can see, we made like $150,000 on the sale. You know, we made like $150,000 on the sale. Like now, and when I say we made $150,000 on the sale, what we did first in order to get this house was we took out a home equity line of credit. Now, the line of credit that I got was different than one that you might be used to because I got a line of credit from one of my private money guys. I got $100 grand from him, okay? On a second lien position, line of credit from my guy. And that money kind of just stayed at the attorney's office until we found the property. And once we got this one under contract, we used that as a deposit and down payment in order to buy this one. Okay, so if it wasn't for owning a property and having that thing, you know, hold that thing for 7 years, we would have never been able to extract $150,000 worth of value. It might have been more than that, but it was at least 150 because I remember the $100 grand on the HELOC. I did have to pay Kendall. I think I did end up having to pay him like $17,000 in interest. I think it was. It might have been $14,000 in interest. I think it was $14,000 in interest because I'm pretty sure he typically charged me 14%. And like I said, I can remember taking home at least 50 grand after the sale. So, you know, realtor cost was probably, you know, 16,000 and closing cost was probably 2,500. So we made more than what we took home, of course, you know. So we took home 150, but we probably made, you know, like 180. But yeah, that's just how real estate goes. But if it wasn't for that first house, we would have never been able to extract that value and be able to use it to, you know, get something that we want. Okay. And this is what we wanted. We wanted, you know, a bigger house for our family. We wanted like a headquarters so people can come to us for Christmas and holidays. We wanted to be able to throw events. We wanted to have land so we could, grow a bigger garden. We got like a acre garden outside. Yeah, anyway. All right, let's get into these stats real quick. As you can see, I'm very long-winded. I like to talk, but I promise there are key lessons in my talks. Okay, so first of all, now I'm getting this online from, this is from CNN, okay? This is from CNN. First of all, the home ownership rate. That's number one. Home ownership rate for Black Americans in the United States for 2024 is 45.7%. Okay, so less than half of Black Americans own a home in the United States. Okay, now compared to our white brothers and sisters, 74.3% of white households own. So literally a whole 30% more whites own than blacks. First of all, there's less blacks than it is whites, so that number, the percentage is 30%, but the actual number of people has to be dramatically higher. Okay, now let me tell you the reason why this is. Okay, now this is not necessarily our fault as Black people, because we wasn't, we were bought over here, so we didn't necessarily own anything. Okay, now I will say that over the years we have had plenty of time to become owners, but we've had to overcome certain barriers like qualifying for loans. And of course, if you were restricted, let me tell you, I shouldn't say restricted, or put in a box or limited. Let me tell you, so I bought a bunch of houses from older white guys, and sometimes these houses, the tenants would literally be in the house all day long with the lights turned off in order to save power. The windows are so old, the heat is leaking out of the house. Matter of fact, they don't even have heat. They're using the oven. They're opening the oven to keep the house warm while the windows is letting the heat out. And these houses are old, so they don't even have no insulation. So the Duke Energy bill is still $350. My Duke Energy bill on this 6,000 square foot house is $580. So if you can imagine having 1,000 square foot house and having to pay $350 for Duke Energy, when you can have a 6,000 square foot house and pay $580, that right there is suppression. So there are barriers that have kept this number, down. I totally agree with that. But there has been opportunity that we have not taken in order to increase our share of home ownership. Let me give an example. I was reading in some of the history books from my daughter's history class that in North Carolina, when they were trying to attract people to move to North Carolina in the 50s and 60s, they were giving land to people. And of course, this is when they created property taxes. They were giving land to people in the 50s and 60s in order to charge them property tax. But some people would say, "Oh no, I don't want that property. I don't want to have to pay that expense every year." Well, to this day, in 2024, we still have property taxes on property. So you buy a property, whether you buy it cash or finance it, and every year you pay the government, your local government, a property tax for owning that property. And to this day, people will still not buy property because you have to pay the government a property tax. That don't make no sense. Speaking of that, whenever I was researching this, it actually said that the mortgage denial rates from blacks to whites, check this out, nearly 1 in 4 black mortgage applicants are denied, compared to 1 in 10 white applicants are denied. Okay, and the most common reason for denial is credit history. Okay, now once again, this is something that is not really our fault, but it is our fault. Okay, now let me give an example. My white friends in high school, they had credit cards 9th grade. Okay, 9th grade, they got credit cards. By, senior year in high school, they have a great credit score because they have credit cards. Mom and dad, of course, helped them apply for a credit card, and help them maintain the credit card, and they're teaching them about finances and or paying the cards for them or whatever it is. Their allowances on credit cards, Now, my mom And my dad did that for me senior year in high school. Shout out to my mom for doing it senior year. Shout out to my dad for doing it senior year. Okay. But I didn't have a 700 credit score until my sophomore year in college. So some of my white counterparts had credit scores of 700 senior year of high school. Okay. I didn't have it until I got to college. There's another group of friends in high school that their parents applied for them to get credit cards, but their parents burnt them credit cards up while they were in high school. Their parents needed money at the time, so they used their children's credit score to get credit cards, and then the parents would trick them off, right? Spend $500 or $1,000, whatever the credit limit was, and never pay it back. Now that group of people have bad credit in high school and in college, and they have to rebuild it from there. You see? And then there was another group of people that, like my wife, her parents always dealt with stuff in cash and told her never get a credit card. So my wife never got a credit card until her senior year. Okay, in college. And so we have these different levels of parenting, in these different homes that causes this generational gap. Okay, so we need to get educated on credit, because now that we know that in 2024 that every 1 in 4 black people will get denied for a mortgage loan based off of credit. Imagine how many people didn't apply, first of all. But now, since we know that they get denied because of credit, we need to get credit knowledge. How do we get credit? How do we get larger lines of credit? How do we spend our money, right? How do we make the banks work for us, meaning get rewards and all those kinds of things, make sure they're buying us stuff? How do we, how do we make sure that we're not just getting all credit cards? We can have some personal loan. We have some revolving. How do we make sure that we're utilizing business credit to get $100,000 lines of credit? How do we make sure we're getting business loans so we can buy houses and buy businesses? Learning credit is going to help with this gap. All right, let's go to the next stat. Next stat is home values. And this is crazy. So homes in predominantly black neighborhoods on average in the United States are valued at $50,000 or less. Okay? Homes predominantly in white neighborhoods on average are valued at $180,000 or more. Check that out. That's a random stat by CNN right there. Predominantly black neighborhoods, houses are valued at $50,000 or less. And predominantly in white neighborhoods, houses are valued at 180 or more. That's crazy. Now, this speaks to a few different things, okay? First of all, you need to get out of your fucking neighborhood, okay? You need to get out of that neighborhood. It is okay. It is okay to be on the other side of town. It is okay to get out of your small town and to go to a new city. It is okay to have bills. One of the most things that I'm grateful for about working at the car dealership is their routine of making good salesmen great salesmen was getting those salesmen bills. Okay, the leadership team at the car dealership was very good at this. This was the strategy. If they realized that you were a good car salesman, they would do their best to get you bills. Okay, you selling cars? Great. Hey, bro, you've been doing great for the last 8 months, man. You need to congratulate yourself with a new car. Okay, get that BMW right there, man. See the seats, the sunroof, heated seats. You deserve this after a great hard day. Get that BMW right there. $670, $680 payment. Mind you, that person was probably in a $200 payment or no payment at all in a cheap car. But what that did for that salesperson is it would stretch their imagination, stretch their belief that they could have something, that was nice. They could have something that they've always wanted and they can get it right now while they were young. That it was okay to pay for the things that I like. So that salesperson would get it. That salesperson would use that bill to fuel their motivation to pay for the thing that they wanted. And then that will cause them to make more money. And the sales manager would do it again and say, man, yo, you're doing great, bro. You got a nice car. I see your girl over there. You got a nice lady friend. Yo, have you guys thought about getting married? They would promote us to get married. They would promote the married couples to get houses. And so by the time you got a nice house, you got a wife, you have a child, you have a house, now you got real bills, and that salesman would make more money because they would be willing and believe that they are worth it. You are worth having a nice house. It is worth you working hard to have this nice stuff. You can do it. So when I look at that stat, I think black people don't even understand that we can have nice shit. You can have nice shit. And don't care about the people that don't want to have nice shit that they talking to you about, hey, man, you can't afford that car. You shouldn't get that. Fuck you. Fuck you. If I can't afford it and I want it and I go out and get it, damn well, please, I'm about to work hard and I'm going to pay for it. Now, I'm not telling you to be irresponsible, but I'm just telling you that this simple principle of wanting nice stuff, realizing that it's going to take more work to earn that amount of money to pay for it, and then have enough faith to go out and believe that you can have it and then go get it is worth something. That's all I'm saying. All right, let's go to the next. Let's go to the next black home ownership status. Okay, the median household income of black American families on average is $47,800, while the median income of white Americans is $75,700. What tells me that is black people, we need to go out here and get this money. Okay? Black people, we need to go out here and get this money. Let me tell you this. What you are paid is based on the value that you give to the world. The market will pay you based on the value that you provide to the market. So we need to go out and stop asking for, is there an easy job for me to get? Is there a job that I can just buy to get that's easy? When the job requires you to have a resume, requires you to dress up, requires you to do some research before you get in, requires you to have a degree, we should not be running away from those jobs. We should not be running away from those careers, because when you have to provide that value before you can ever even qualify or get these opportunities, that just means you're going to get paid more. So don't be afraid, my friend. Don't be afraid. Just like having a business. A lot of people say, oh, I don't want to have a business. It's too risky, because I got to study. I might lose money. I got to pay people. I got to hire, my friend, all of that value. If you think I can have 3 people on my team that work for me, they all make $75,000 a year. How much money do you think I'm going to make? If I can help 3 people make $75,000 a year, so that's $75,150, $225. If I'm able to pay 3 people $225,000 for the year, how much money do you think my company is bringing in and I'm able to pay myself? Yeah, the first year might be $25,000 I might pay myself when I'm paying somebody else some more. Yeah, the second year might be $30,000, $40,000. Yeah, the third year might be $50,000. But I'm telling you, 3 years of sacrifice. 3 years of sacrifice is all it takes. And now you on top. By the way, your employees looked up to you the whole time because they can't even believe you doing this crap. They don't even understand how you're doing it, but they come to work every day believing in you because you're willing to hold the meetings. You're willing to spend the money on the marketing. You're willing to, to take them on incentive trips. You're willing to sign up for education so they can learn and you can learn with them. They see it. And then next thing you know, you banking, like myself, you banking $300,000 a year. $300,000 a year? Yes, $300,000 a year. We as black people have to be okay with not always going the easy route. Easy doesn't require faith. When faith is required, God is in the mix. All right? And then it's the last stat right here. Hold on. Last stat is that the history of predatory lending practices and redlining has created a racially discriminatory housing system. And I agree with this. Okay. Some things that cities and states can do to increase home ownership include increasing building permits, expanding affordable housing supply, encouraging changes to credit scoring, making down payment assistance more available, and better targeting local resources. That's what CNN says. Okay, but this is what I think. Predatory lending, for sure. Okay, once again, that comes with knowledge and knowing loans and stuff like that, But at the end of the day, I will pay 14% for interest, just like I paid Kendall on that line of credit on my house, because I had a strategy to buy this house. Okay, some people won't understand that strategy because they have no clue. So I think it's going to come in knowledge. Look, this is what I think we need to do as a black community in order to buy back our neighborhood, in order to put net worth on our personal financial statement, in order to put cash flow in replacement of our 401k, in order to not qualify for welfare, in order to put ourselves in a position where we want tax breaks because our income is so strong. I think it's number one, it's going to be about the knowledge. It's going to be about the things that we know. Credit utilization, utilizing, lines of credit, having banking relationships, understanding how local banks are better and how they operate and how we can benefit from using local banks versus the big farmers. Secondly, I think it's going to be impactful for us to get around other people who own homes so we can learn from them. Unfortunately, in the black community, it's always a competition amongst our brothers and sisters. It's always like, who's the best? You the best, I'm the best, not. Okay? And we don't even understand that we gatekeeping amongst our own communities. I really think that today I had an amazing conversation with one of the entrepreneurs in my area. He has a solar sales company. This year he did like $1.2 million, and next year his goal is $1.8 million, and we're talking about our struggles. And it's almost like a relief that I can have millionaire conversations with another guy that's 30 years old. And I can tell him a scenario where I make $100,000 and he's clapping for me. And I can tell him another scenario that I lost a house because my numbers wasn't tight, and he is motivating me. I think hanging around other homeowners will help you increase your standard of life. So if you grew up in an apartment, or grew up and your mother has been renting, or your grandmother, you live with your grandmother and she's been renting, I think it's important for you to find people, even in high school. Maybe your friends own homes. Go hang out over at their house and see how it feels. I remember walking into my parents have always owned a house, but I can remember walking into my high school girlfriend's family member's house that we went to visit in Charlotte. We lived in Raleigh at the time, but I was able to go with my girlfriend and her family to one of their family members' houses in Charlotte. And he had a brick house, 2-story house. It had surround sound system everywhere, in the kitchen, in the living room, and he was playing music as we walked in. And on that day, I realized I wanted mood music playing in my house always. So it was like a freaking commercial when I walked in the house. And so to this day, I don't have, in wall speakers, but I have Alexa speakers all around my house. So whenever I want to hear music, all I got to do is say, hey, Alexa, play some music, All right. The third thing I think we need to do is really have some faith. Okay. We really need to have some faith. I mean, a lot of this stuff, that we want to do, we are capable of 1,000%. We literally, as far as the black community has built this country and been able to maintain this country as far as the labor force. And so what makes you think that, we're so strong, to endure, hatred, to endure, adversity, and then to be strong enough to build a freaking country on our backs, You know, while we don't get any celebration for it, what makes you think you're not strong enough to achieve the goal or idea that God gave you? You know what I'm saying? So I think we need to apply faith. When you read your Bible, when you get in front of someone, when you have an opportunity, be ready to accept. Be ready. If God throws you an alley-oop, that next step you should take should be you jumping in the freaking air, grabbing the ball and slam dunking it. And I think if we're not willing to take that faith, then I think that's where we mess up. So I have realized that my camera's been in and out of focus. I hope it's been good for you guys. But these are the black home ownership stats, you know, for 2024. CNN, of course, was comparing it black to white. But of course, there are other races, Asians and, you know, Hispanics and all those kinds of things. But that's just what the stats gave me. And I thought they were interesting because honestly, I'm 34 and I've owned hundreds of houses at this point. But whenever I have a kickback or I'm talking to my friends that I went to college and high school with, they still don't own homes and we're 34. And so one of my goals is how can I get my friends buying houses? So in order for me to help you buy a house, I'm gonna drop this video right here for you to check out. Peace, y'all. Have an amazing day. Let's get it.